Welcome on in. Welcome to Reading Between the Wines. It's Wine Down Wednesday, and tonight I am sampling Snoop Dogg's Cali Blanc. This is his version of Sauvignon Blanc. Tonight we have author Birdman in the building, coming in all the way from Texas. Yesterday I had it messed up. I said like DC or something like that. I got all of my things in the wrong direction, but all the way from Texas, author Birdman coming in. His new book, Outdoor Memories. We are going to be hearing from him tonight. This is going to be a great show tonight. I had a great time speaking to Birdman before, we go live here tonight, and it was really good catching up with him, and I can't wait. I know we got some great energy tonight. I know we got some great things coming on tonight, so good to have author Birdman, friend of the show. This is probably his second or third time coming back. I definitely do appreciate him. But before we get started, I want to go ahead and give a very special thank you to my executive producer, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you for giving me another opportunity to come out here and do this Reading Between the Wine show. And on that note, thank you so much to everybody out there who's been supporting the whole This For Spirit movement. Thank you so much to SOS. Thank you so much to Sophie Davis. Hopefully you'll be able to catch the show one day. Adam Bullock, thank you so much. Mr. Alex Coquito, I appreciate you. What about the guests that we had show up so far this week? I was just sitting here thinking, this has been just such an amazing, amazing movement with so much. I can't get into it, but with so much issues going on leading up to this, just to have people like Valine Jackson come on and share her story, share her new book, amazing. We had Shanti Refuge. We got to get her to come on Reading Between the Wines with her book. This is amazing. She's out there doing her thing every single day. So y'all go ahead and check out Shanti Refuge. Her book is Quiet as Kept. I was going to get it in on the Reading Between the Wines, but she's going to come back and we're going to get her to get into this a little bit more on Reading Between the Wines. We'll put that on as our wish list for her to come back. Raquel Hernandez. Wow. Check her out from O'Shea Candles. Watch that replay from last night. We had a great conversation, great breakthrough. And tonight we going to go in and we're just going to keep this momentum going. Tomorrow night, we have recording artists all the way from New York. Shout out to New York. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for holding the 4-in-1 podcast down and Reading Between the Wines. Tomorrow, we have recording artists, Donnie Nicole. She has a new single called Love Affair. And this seems to just line up so well. This is just so mystical how this lines up because, we getting ready to go in with Love Affair tomorrow, speaking about, little friends with benefits. So you definitely want to come back tomorrow and listen in and tune in for that. But tonight we have track 12, Control Phase, breaking free from controlling relationships. So I want you to think about this. Anybody out there who's ever been in a controlling relationship, anybody who has a friend or family member, whatever. And sometimes it's not always romantic. I want to drive that home this week as we continue to talk about, realm of relationships and different types of relationships. Some of these conversations, I want you to dig a little bit deep and go back because it's not always romantic. Sometimes it could be friendships. I have had some controlling friendships. Here, I'm a full-grown married man, and you somewhere upset, trying to control what I got going on in my household with my family. So sometimes friends can try to manipulate and control things. So it's not always just romantic. You can have supervisors, bosses. You can work for a company that's controlling. In the past, I've worked for certain corporations where at that time when social media was, first getting on, you couldn't have this on your page and you couldn't post that on your page. And if you post this, you could get fired and terminated on your day off. Track 12, Control Phase. This for sphere realm of relationships. We're talking about breaking free from controlling relationships. It can come in all different forms. It doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. Song of the Day, Control by Janet Jackson, which was released in 1986. I believe it was February of 1986. So just think back to the song Control, how Janet was basically saying that I'm in control now. Like, you may have thought that you were in control, but I'm all grown up now and I'm doing things on my own. Like, I'm in control. I want to have control of my career. I want to have control of. So basically, I'm asking you out there, what is it, the things that you want to have control over? What relationships do you want to have control over? Now, for me, I know today that in the past I've tried to control certain relationships. I've tried to control certain situations. And one thing that I've learned is the only person that you can control is self. That's why they call it self-control. So before I can part my mouth any type of way about any type of situation, anything that somebody has going on in their world, the first thing that I need to do is get it back to center. Get back to center and realize who I am and recognize and say, okay, you know what, Laren? There's only one person that you can control in this situation here, because a relationship is multiple people. There's multiple personalities. There's multiple things going on. There's multiple scenarios. So the only person that you can control in this situation is you. So how about you focus on you first? Everything starts with self. That's one of the most important relationships that one can have, is one with self. So now that we know that everything starts with self, if you ever get into a situation where you feel that you might want to have control over another human being, which God has not put us on this planet. We have not been put on this earth to have control over human beings. Now, He gave us control over everything else, all of the creepy crawly things, all of the animals and the plants and the trees and all of that great stuff. But nowhere did it say that I'm going to give you control to have rule and dominion over another human being. So that is a life lesson that I've had to learn, and it took me a long time to get there, because I thought that I was in control of everything. I thought I was in control of the whole situation. And when people walk around thinking that they are in control of situations, they're in control of people, they're in control of places, they're in control of things, there's somebody else that will give you some get right medicine and let you know that, nah, you ain't in control of anything. So I know that before I can step out and ever think that I'm in control over a situation, control over a human being, I have to remember and get back to center and say, okay, remember, the most important thing is to have some self-control. That's one thing that you can get in control of. If you're in a situation where you feel that you want to go toe-to-toe with somebody, you want to go side to side, you might want to think that you want to step out of your character, you might want to go ahead and show somebody or give somebody a piece of your mind. Nah, have some self-control. That's what it is. Track 12, Control Phase. Song of the Day, Control by Janet Jackson. 1986. Wow, I was 6 years old when I remember seeing that. And then from there, Rhythm Nation and all of the other stuff. I wanted to talk, I was just thinking about this, talk about my favorite Janet Jackson joints. I know she's on tour with Nelly now, which I think that is an interesting combination, but the feedback that I've heard from, that's a Janet Jackson song, Feedback. The feedback that I've heard from the tour is that it was amazing. So one of my favorite Janet Jackson joints, besides Rhythm Nation, I love when they just, that was just a no-brainer right there. But Escapade, it's one of my favorite joints from Janet. I don't know why, but Escapade was one of my favorite joints. And my favorite album of all times, my favorite Janet Jackson album of all times, where I can say I can put it on play from top to bottom and just go in. That is that Velvet Rope album. I absolutely love Janet Jackson's Velvet Rope from top to bottom, the way she just break through and just start rocking from beginning to end. I love it. Shout out to Janet Jackson for giving us all that great music over the years. Love it, love it, love it. So now, let's talk about this here. We got Snoop Dogg wine, Cali Blanc. We're going to get into this. So, like I said before, Snoop Dogg has 4 different wines. He has a red wine that was his first one. That's like a Cabernet. So I strongly urge y'all to go ahead and check that out, like a fall type season, maybe wintertime. You want to, get that. And I love drinking red wine in the wintertime. Summertime, of course, you get your blush wines, you get your white wines. This is just perfect for a summer day. Awesome. With some seafood, just we gonna get into that. Then he has a blush wine. So he has the red one, then he has a blush wine. I don't know for sure what the exact name of that one is. And then he has a sparkling wine, which we sampled on the first episode of Reading Between the Wines. And that one's really good. That's really good, about 11%. So when I was going through this, I was quite shocked that this one here is 12.9%. So this is some get right medicine right here. This is going to do it. So I had no idea that this was 12.9%. So one thing that I have to say, and I think that his red one is either 13 or 14. These Snoop Dogg wines, they have high alcohol content. And I know some people that's very important to them. They check out the alcohol content. I just like to enjoy the wines. I don't get hung up on alcohol content. So this wine here is from California. Of course, the name Cali Blanc. This is Sauvignon Blanc grapes. Now, I will tell you that out of all of the white wines, this one can be a little rougher. Like typically the alcohol content is a little higher, and it could be a little acidic. You can have a little bite to it for the most part. But some of the reviews said that this is pretty sweet, which I was kind of like shocked because typically Sauvignon Blanc is not sweet. You're gonna get a little dry, maybe a little bitter taste. But some of their taste tester notes said that this wine is sweet. In fact, I believe that one of their reviews said that this wine was too sweet. So we'll see as we get ready to go through it. But like I said, this should lean more towards the dry side. So it'll be slightly drier when it comes to versus something being sweet. And I anticipated having a little bit of a bite. Taste tester said you're going to get some hints of apple, pear, apricot, which I thought that was interesting, honey, and earthy notes, lemon, citrus notes, which is typical, and pairs well with shellfish. I always tend to like, when I get to that point, pairs well with shellfish. I just need to slow it down a little bit. But this will pair well with shellfish, vegetarian dishes, and I've never had it, but goat's milk cheese. I don't know if anyone has gotten into the specialty cheeses or not, but this wine typically will pair well with goat's milk cheese. Now, I know that wet type of cheese, I'm not a fan of that. When I went to France, they had all different types of cheeses, and I taste some wet cheese, and I definitely was not a fan of that. I was like, absolutely not. We're not doing that. So when it comes to cheese, just give me my normal cheese. That's all. I don't want anything wet, runny, and all of that type of stuff. 19 Crimes Cali Blanc, Sauvignon Blanc. Again, this is 12.9% alcohol content. 19 Crimes tells the true story of rule breakers who beat the odds, overcame adversity, and went on to become folk heroes in their society. This spirit lives on today through innovators and culture creators like Cali's own Snoop Dogg. A leader in contemporary pop culture, Snoop embodies the timeless values of the 19 Crimes rogues who came before him. Glasses up. Now, the one thing about these bottles, which I didn't mention before, is that if you download the app and you scan this, he'll talk to you, which I thought that was so dope. All of his bottles, they say different sayings. So you have to download the 19 Crimes mobile app, and then you wave it in front of your phone. You wave this bottle in front of your phone like you're going to take a picture, and then he'll start to talk to you. So I haven't done it in a minute, but there is a little barcode for you to scan and sync up everything. And for somehow they got some sort of technology where it just scans it and picks it up. So we're going to test this out and see how this wine is. And of course, we have my friend, my brother, friend to the show, family member, author Birdman, coming in with his new book, Outdoor Memories. So this is a great pair. After we get done this, I want y'all to go ahead and head on over to Birdman wherever he sends you. He's on all different platforms. Twitter, I know he's on YouTube. He's going to come in and talk about all of that great stuff. We're going to go ahead and sip this up here. And then I want to talk about this control phase here. See what Birdman says about that. Now, I will say I've had Sauvignon Blanc, and they are pretty bitter. This one is not. I don't think that it is too sweet. I think it's just right. Now, this could be a problem. On a nice summer day, it goes down smooth. I think they got that part down because sometimes they could be a little afterbite. It's going to warm you up a little bit. It really is, but that's why you should keep this very chilled. Nice job with this one. Now, I will rank them in order. His sparkling wine, that's my number one. I think that from now on, if I want to, have some Snoop Dogg wine, I'm gonna go for the sparkling wine. That's number one. This one will be number two, and then I think the third one will be the red one. Those would be my top three. So I would go sparkling wine first. I would go Cali Blanc, and then I would do the original red Cabernet that he has. The blush one is my least favorite. That one has to be super, super, super chilled. I mean, super chilled. So if you do his blush wine, from my personal experience, I haven't taste tested here on the show, but you really need to go bring that temperature down. This one could be a problem if it's super, super, super chilled too, because it goes down smoother than what I thought it would. So most Sauvignon Blancs have a little bite to them, and you can tell you drinking Sauvignon Blanc. Like Mary J. Blige's Sauvignon Blanc goes down smooth too. So I think those are the two Sauvignon Blancs that I've tasted where I was like, I like them because typically, like I said, they have a little bite to them. So when I heard that Mary had a Sauvignon Blanc, I was like, why'd you pick that one? But both of them, they go down smooth. I think Mary's is a little smoother than Snoop's, but this is good. Which means that I have to be very careful when I get Birdman in here because it goes down too smooth. Thank you all so much for joining in. If you're watching, I appreciate you.
Hello?
Hello, hello, hello. What's going on? How are you?
Hey. All right. I'm doing all right.
Welcome to Reading Between the Wines. You are good, safe and sound where you're at?
Oh, yeah. Staying at my girlfriend's one of her son's houses. So, yeah, just waiting now. Hopefully, some of the people have started calling back, going to come out and we'll try to dig our vehicles out so we can get them out. So that's the good news there.
Yeah, I was nervous. We almost didn't have Birdman come on the show tonight. The hurricane, he's from Texas. Here I was telling people Detroit because that's the last thing I remember you growing up in Detroit. But you were in Texas, and that damn hurricane caused all kinds of havoc and wreck. What's the hurricane's name? Because I don't watch the news and stuff. What's the name of it?
Burl.
So we're on B now.
Hurricane Burl.
Just everybody know that we're on B now. So here it is July and we're on B. And by the time that in my area where I'm at in New Jersey, by the time we get it, we all the way in S's and T's and all kinds of stuff like that. So I can't even imagine the people from your area, like I was saying, New Orleans, that as soon as the summertime comes, that's like the time for us to be outside and enjoying stuff. And now y'all have to deal with all these tropical storms and all of this craziness that starts from damn near June all the way to September.
Yes, and now we really try to take our vacation now. During that time, like June and September, we try to get away from here. And this time, man, is just something that we didn't hear about, and it was upon us. And we were sitting out there, and I'm like, where did this come from? And
wow.
Hey, when something gets in the Gulf, then we get nervous because the Gulf is where it builds its strength up, and that's where it comes from.
Well, we can get into that another day because you
Yeah.
know the history behind that, why that happens. You believe? Because I heard some stories of why that always starts there and happens there.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
I believe, and I could be speaking wrong. I believe that there's a lot of. We just gonna leave that there. I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you off air. But there's a reason why that happens in that area. I think I heard it from.
Okay.
I think I heard it from Dick Gregory, but I don't want to speak incorrectly about it. But there has something to do with our ancestors and something happening in that area, which is why it starts there and there's always an issue, and it continues to keep happening over and over and over and over again.
Okay, I can almost imagine what it is now. But okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of souls that were lost and a lot of souls that were, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's the story behind that. But we're gonna switch. We're gonna go into track 12, Control Phase, speaking about breaking free from controlling relationships. So the song of the day tonight is Control by Janet Jackson. Now, are you a Janet Jackson fan?
Yes, I am. I love all the Jacksons, man. I listen to all their music.
My favorite album, like I said earlier, was that Velvet Rope album. That was that was the coldest album from Janet. You know, I'm an 80s baby, so I could relate during that time when she came out there. She definitely picked up my generation because she was out. Like I said, Control. I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I didn't really start Janet Jackson has it still going on when I was like in high school, damn near 19, 20 years old. You know, songs from that where she partnered with Q-Tip and that Joni Mitchell remake.
Right.
I Get Lonely. Growing up, one of my favorite songs when I was younger was Escapade. What's your favorite Janet Jackson joint?
I have so many. People ask me that all the time, but I just say, hey, anything she put out, I loved it.
That's what's
up. And the thing about it, I met their whole family. Only person I didn't meet was Marlon. No, not Marlon. The youngest one, Randy. And Janet. Those are the only two out of all them siblings I didn't meet because I either met them at a concert or I met them at when they used to sell records. I used to be at the stores.
Wait a minute. I'm so confused. Like last time you met DeBarge, like we got it. You like the music genius here. You keep meeting all these stars. So did you met Michael?
Yes. That's when they was a Jackson 5.
Oh my God. Wow.
Well, hey, you know what, man? Really, I'm not from Detroit. I'm from Benton Harbor. Benton Harbor is like Gary, Indiana is like an hour from Benton Harbor. And a guy I went to college with, the home that they grew up in, he lived right down the street from it. So, man, when you will learn, man, music and writing and sports, that is my thing.
Wow. That's what's up. I didn't know this. I didn't know that you met them. That's awesome. Wow.
Yes.
What was it?
And then
I mean, when you said you met Michael Jackson, that sort of takes the show in a whole nother direction. Like, we could probably spend like the rest of the hour talking about that. But what was that like? What was that like meeting little Michael Jackson back then?
It was, hey man, I was a big fan of his, and I kind of like, when growing up, we had a group, and we always would imitate them.
I remember you telling me that.
And then meeting them, it was like, wow, man, this is really a trip, and it's believable. And like I said, I met the oldest one, which people really don't read. Her name is Reba.
Yes. Yeah.
She's the oldest. Well, actually, my daughter, when she was a little baby, we went to the called Sound Records. We went there because she was there, and she gave an autograph to my daughter, which
she has.
That got tore up.
She has. What is her? She has one. I don't want to say she's a one-hit wonder. I don't want to speak incorrectly, but she has one hit song. What is that called?
Centipede.
There you go. There you go. I mean, is she a one-hit wonder? That was the only one, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? She wasn't really into making music. You know, her husband was more into music than what she was.
Mm.
He was like an executive.
I remember. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. Now we're gonna get into one more, and then we gonna get back. So I told you the whole show could just be like over now because we could talk about the Jacksons. Now,
Yeah.
LaToya never put out a record, right? Did she?
Yeah, she put. I don't remember because it wasn't a hit. LaToya was like the black sheep of the family,
exactly,
dude.
Exactly. I was gonna say.
Yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm. I was gonna say now out of all
did
of them,
her own thing.
So it's curious. You know what? That's a research for me to go through all of the Jacksons and see if they actually all put out albums or singles. Because there's a couple of them that probably didn't put anything out.
I'm gonna tell you a secret on that though. See, Randy had a song out. The song was hitting really good, and I can say this because I met a guy who knew them personally also. Mm-hmm. He actually wrote comedy for Richard Pryor sometimes. Mm-hmm. He was not Paul Mooney. The dude name is David. Oh, I keep forgetting his last name, but he also wrote it. I met him through my cousin when I was out there in L.A., and he said the reason why Randy, because they say Randy was the most talented out of all of them. Mm. The dad held him back because he always wanted Michael to be the star.
Wow. Yeah, well, I mean, maybe the dad obviously knew. He's seen something out of it. Like maybe Randy Jackson could have been in the front, but then maybe he wouldn't have been able to go as far as Michael Jackson. Like,
right.
Yeah, some things happen for a reason. Like, I truly believe that. And sometimes a sibling can take the fall for another sibling just to protect the other one. And I remember having this conversation about a year ago. Like, one sibling may take the brunt of everything, and that's God's purpose and God's plan to protect the other one so that the other one can go out and do. Because who knows? Maybe Randy wouldn't have been able to handle all that. You never know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? All of them put out either a song or an album. Okay. Back then, you know, they were doing albums. They weren't doing CDs. All of them did, but none of them. You know, it was Michael who was the top, then Janet, or you could flip flop that, however you like them, and then Jermaine.
Oh yeah, well, no.
You know, those three. And those three right there was really the top ones. And then, you know, like Jackie had his, Reba had hers, Tito, he even had one out.
I know.
Matter of fact, he put something out a couple of years ago, but it never hit the radio airwaves. You know, so and Marlon, he had one out. All of them, musically, they were very talented.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the whole catalog. If you put all of their music together, that's a lot. First of all, Michael Jackson alone, that's a lot of money. Put him and Janet together, that's a lot of money. Then put all of the extra stuff, the Jackson's 5 that they did, and all of the Christmas albums, and crazy.
Exactly.
Well, see what happens. See what Janet does with Control.
Yeah.
Speaking about, I told you. We speaking about Janet Jackson, the whole Jackson family. We got Snoop Dogg, Cali, Sauvignon Blanc here, Cali Blanc. What's going on, SOS? Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. We have author Birdman. We got this book here, Outdoor Memories. We're gonna get into that. We in Atlantic City, New Jersey. This is a good night tonight. This is the second night of Reading Between the Wines. You have been on here before. A friend to the friend of the show, family. Listen, I'm already feeling it a little bit. This wine has, what did I say it had? Let me read this here. 12.9%. This thing gets you right here. All right. let's get back into this control phase. Breaking free from controlling relationships. So when you think of being in a controlling relationship, control phase, what does that mean to you when you hear just that control phase?
Something's wrong. They don't trust each other.
Mm.
One don't trust the other. And, one person, and maybe that's because they've seen something, and I normally say this from the parent's side.
Okay.
Maybe the dad didn't trust the mother didn't trust the dad, but somewhere they've heard this, or it could be an older sibling or somebody from the streets to talk to this person and say, hey, you control everything. That means your wife, your kids, your job, you control it all. And then, for a man, it said, if you don't control everything, you're not a real man.
Wow, I've heard that so many times.
That is something that has always stuck in my mind. But my parents taught me that's not the way it is.
Okay. So tell me about that. So if someone comes up to you and be like, yo, you a man, you got to control everything. So you said your parents said that that's not the way it is. So
right.
I think a lot of us get into that situation because, you ain't no man, you ain't in control of the situation. So talk to me about that, how you saw the flip side of it.
It's just like I said, I've heard like on the streets. I have, you know how it is. You sit around on the corner or in the park and y'all talking, and one of the guys I said, I control everything. I control my woman. I control my household. If they can't do what I tell them to do, then they gotta go.
What?
And then then you go to their house and it's just the opposite.
And fronting in the street.
It's just the opposite. Yeah, I mean, and then or they say you're not a real man if you don't control your woman. And what you mean by control? Oh man, you don't let her keep $10 in her pocket. She has to come to you for everything, and that's why women will creep out on you because women are equal. That's how I look at it.
Well, that is absolutely because, we are all human beings and I get the man, woman aspect, but if you dig real deep into this thing, we are all one and the same. And I think a lot of people don't want to dig deep and get into it real because that's going to crack their brain. But when you dig into it deep, we are all one and the same. Like if you are a human being, that's it. You equal. Like not one person is, superior to the other.
That's true. Or you scared your buddies, your so-called buddies. That's why I call them so-called buddies. They sit back and they say, dude, you can't control your woman. You can't control your household. You can't control this, control that. And they try to make you feel, inferior or weak. And then you go home and you do that and then when you do try to buck up.
Oh.
A lot of women will let you know, hey, turn that temperature down before something happens.
You try to buck up and you're going to have an issue. And those be the same ones that don't, like you said, and you go to their house and it's totally different. They be the same ones that don't have control over their situation and they just trying to project it off on you and you be the fool when you take that home. So many relationships break up and have an issue because of one of the things that I truly believe in. Association brings on participation. Show me who your friends are and I'll show you who you are. We are the average of the 5 closest people that we hang out with. So I want everyone to think about the 5 people that you talk to on a daily basis, that you hang out with, that you call your roll dogs, that you call whatever. The 5 people that you are closest to, you're only an average of them. So now if you hanging out with this one and this one is promiscuous and this one, can't keep a job and this one over here is always slinging in the streets and this one over here is doing that and this one is doing that and they're your so-called friends because y'all been together since whenever, high school, childhood, ride or die, whatever. That's cool and all. But just trust and believe that association brings on participation. So the longer that you hang out with them, the more you're going to pick up habits and become like them. And I've had people argue with me back and forth saying that that's not the case. But when you stay loyal to these friends, you'd better just make sure that you have friends that are in with what you want to become, because hanging around them, you will be that. And misery loves company. Trust and believe. So
that is so true. that is so true.
That's why today I keep my friends to a minimum and check for the ones who have venom on their tongue. Little Kim hooked us up with that one, but yeah. Because those ones that have venom on their tongue, here they are telling you about something in your household, and meanwhile, their whole situation is jacked up. That's why I always say, when people give you that unsolicited advice and they give you that situation, you better check the facts. All right, I hear you in my ear, but now I'm going to do my research and I'm going to check the facts and see where you're coming from. Because what you got going on in this situation, what you got going on over there, since you're so knowledgeable and you know about how to run these things, that's why I say, if you're a married person, don't listen to no single person about what they got going on, because they can't even relate. Y'all not even on the same page. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny you said that. Do you know why a lot of women, married women, do not like for their husbands to be with single men? Because of that very thing.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm married, right? But now I'm hanging out with my boy, and now we in the strip club. Because that's what he do. Because he's not evolved to where I'm at right now. So why would you hang out with him? Because, like I said, association brings on participation. Even though I'm married, sometimes that's a turn on to people. Oh, you married? I don't care. Really? Sometimes that's what they want even more. You want to know why? Because you ain't gonna be bothering me, because you gonna have to go home at the end of the night. So I can go out in the streets and do what I want to do, because I know you're going to be at home and you already taken care of and you good. So they might gravitate towards you even more. When I found that out, I was like, oh, snap. Okay. You ain't going to be calling them. You ain't going to be asking them what they doing, because you ain't going to have time to do that, because you got other obligations. Craziness.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it definitely, it is crazy. But if you look deep into it, you tell it's the truth.
Wow.
It's the truth.
So now, with this control phase here, signs of control in relationships. So people say isolation is one thing. Like, these are some red flags you should look for. Isolation. You're in a relationship, someone starts to isolate you and pull you away from your friends and family. And that's rough. And people were like, oh, don't worry, she's too consumed with him, or he's too consumed with her, or whatever situation you're in. I'm not here to judge anybody, but yeah, they're so consumed with the other person, they haven't called, they haven't came by, they haven't checked. Be very careful with that they haven't called, you haven't heard from them, they haven't checked up, because they might be a victim of being isolated. They might be a victim of being in controlling relationship. If you're so used to speaking to somebody on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, whatever it is, and then now they pop up all of a sudden and they say that they're in a relationship and they're so in love, and that you don't hear from them, that's odd. That's strange. When you get into a relationship, when you get into something new, you shouldn't lose yourself. You shouldn't lose your family. You shouldn't change your habits and behaviors. So if you start to see that somebody's not coming around anymore and you haven't heard from them anymore, that could be a problem. That could be a red flag.
Most definitely.
Constantly criticizing, and you never can do right in a relationship. I've never experienced anything like that. Maybe towards like when I think I did when I knew the relationship was over. Like when someone's constantly on your back, criticizing you, saying you can't do anything right, you ain't this and you ain't that. Towards the end, maybe I've experienced that type of stuff. I think when I get the criticism from back in the day is when I knew that the relationship was over. Because like, oh, you never talked to me like this before. What gave you this extra power to think that you can, talk to me this way? So if you're in a relationship where someone's putting you down all the time, That's another red flag.
Yes, it is. And also, a lot of times people on the outside can see the red flags quicker than you can that's on the inside.
Ooh, that is so deep that you said that. And I know that is so hard for those of you out there who are listening that might be through it. And when you get out of it, you be like, damn, I wish somebody would have told me. Damn, I wish somebody would have warned me. And I've even said that to myself, like, damn, how come you ain't tell me? And then I think that my mother, she told me something that was so interesting and so profound. And I'll always remember that because I remember the day when she tried to warn me and tell me about a specific relationship. And, of course, fast forward years, once I got out of it, she looked at me and said, you wouldn't have listened anyway. And I knew because when I walked in to have the conversation with my mother, she tried to warn me, but I already had this willpower in my mind, like, nah, nobody's telling me anything. And that's why, Eve, shout out to Eve, Faith Evans, Love is Blind. They have a song called Love is Blind. That's what happens. You become so blinded that you don't care what anybody has to say. So all of those red flags and these things that I'm speaking about, I know it's hard. That's why I'm saying think. Take some time to think about your situation because somebody pointing it out and telling you, sometimes it's not even worth it. So like you said, the people from the outside can see it. Sometimes all you can do is just see. You can't tell anybody anything because they ain't going to listen anyway.
I went through that. Man, I went through that. And, all I can say is I went through it. And then I sit back one day and I'm like, I seen it, heard it, and I still stepped into it.
What?
And yes, and I was always told, like, my mom, she just said, okay, I'm going to let you find out for yourself.
That's the only thing you can do. And listen.
Yeah, and then.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. And, she said, and my dad said, hey, ain't no sense of me talking to you. You hard here. But you going to find out. And he said, when you find out, it might be too late.
Absolutely.
And my mom said, you know what? You know why you could never make it doing whatever you want to do? And I'm like, go ahead and tell me. She says, the person you chose.
Wow.
And yes.
Let me
yes. And I was like, Mom, she said, you have met so many people that you should be where they at. And she said, let me tell you something. She said, a greedy person or a bad person, however you want to look at it, they can hold you back in so many ways. She said, because people out here sees it and you don't. And then my mom said, no, you see it. You just don't want to believe it.
You know what? I want you to stop talking to me right now. I want you to stop. I want you. It's a wrap right now because my mentor tells me, she's like, Laren, a mother knows everything. So now your own mom told you that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I just told y'all the story about when I went into a situation and I knew and I had my willpower like, oh, you ain't going to tell me nothing. And my mother was trying to tell me and warn me about a situation multiple times, not just once, twice. Like, yo, like you good? Like, I remember.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into it, but my mom has warned me a couple times. Like, okay, like, are you done? Are you done with this? Because like, you sure like to keep it going, don't you? You. And at the time, I'm like, what is this? What's she talking about? Like, I'm just living my life. Yeah. She's like, now you sure like to keep some shit going, don't you?
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna say this. This is the funny part. When my situation was coming to an end, I had to end up going back to my parents' house. 2:30 in the morning. I go to the house, and I had called my parents. They said, yeah. My dad said, you can always come here. So I get to the door. I knock on the door. I knock on the door again. Knock on again. My dad, who is it? I said, it's me. My dad said, me? Who in the hell is me? I'm like, it's your son. My dad said, hey, man. Hey, and I'm like, and I can hear my mom in the background, open the damn door, open the damn door. Dad said, I got to see who he really is. And he opened the door, and he had his gun with him. Just step back, make sure ain't nobody following you. And I'm like, dude, I just told you what happened. And he said, hey, he said, okay, you come on in. He said, but before you go, and man, I was tired. I had to get up and go to work the next morning. He said, no. Have a seat right here. And I'm like, Dad. He said, boy, he said, I don't have to go to work. You do. He said, but let me tell you something. He said, this better be the final time. He said, because if you go back to that, he said, leave the keys before you leave. And you can't never come into this house unless we are here. And I looked at him. And then I said, no, I want to be able to come to my house, my parents' house, my house, anytime I want. That's all it took. But it was over with. Then I said, Dad, it's over with. Yeah, you done said that a few times. He said, but hey, it seems like it's the same thing. That merry-go-round. Keep going around. You keep going back. Keep going back. And this is what happens.
You know what I call that type of relationship? I call that a quicksand relationship, because you stuck in quicksand. Yeah. You're trying to get out, but you keep doing the same thing over and over again, thinking that you're going to get out. Yeah. You ain't going to get out until you do something different. You're just stuck in that quicksand, and you just keep burying yourself until you decide to do something different.
Exactly. And when he said that, man, I got up, and I really couldn't. Well, what happened, long story short, is she cut me with a knife behind another man that she was messing around with.
Oh, man.
And my dad, I had to, I said, I don't need stitches. I just bandaged it up. And my dad said, he said, the next time it's going to be worse.
Absolutely.
I said, it's not going to be a next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I said, don't worry about that. I said, I'm not going back, period. And I didn't.
Wow. Like that's something else. Like, it took for somebody to do some physical harm. And
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. These controlling situations, be very careful, people. Thank you so much, SOS. She says,
and then, it was that same night, she said, I said, why is the furniture moved the way it is? She said, because, you know what? She said, I ain't had a good fight in a long time.
What?
And she said, whoever win this fight is going to wear the pants, and the loser going to wear the dress. I said,
you know what?
Get out my face.
Listen, I really want you to stop right now. I really want you to stop telling me this stuff right now.
Oh, yeah.
What? You come home. Wait a minute. You come home and you said, why is the furniture moved? And tell me what she said one more time.
She said, I want to have a fight. She said, I haven't had a fight in a long time, because she grew up with 7 brothers.
There you go.
And she said, I hadn't had a good fight. I said, you better go find one of them hard heads out there on the streets. I'm not going through this.
Listen.
And then she said, oh, you going through it? She said, you don't have no choice. I'm like, what? And then she said, it's like this. Whoever wins, wear the pants, and the loser going to wear the skirt.
Listen.
Or the dress. I'm like,
I know.
And that was that. That was it, man. And when I threw my hand, I'm like, I'm done with this.
Listen, I knew exactly what type of woman you were dealing with, because when I was like 16 years old, right? And I started messing around with this girl. And when I knew that she was more powerful than I was, and she pinned me down and told me what was happening, I said, oh, absolutely not. I'm not listening. I can't mess with you. When I told you no, and you going to pin me down and tell me what's happening, I can't be in that situation. So I know what type of woman you was with. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
See, that's going to be a conversation for another day.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Oh, yes.
Wow. We are talking about being in controlling relationships. We have Mr. Birdman, poet, author, friend of the show, just all around. This is my brother right here, all the way from Texas. Now, we're gonna talk about this, how people get into these controlling relationships. Now, low self-esteem. If somebody has low self-esteem, that might be a reason why they would be susceptible to getting into a controlling relationship. Or basically, maybe your self-esteem was on point, you were up, you were great, you felt good about yourself, and then you wake up one day and you don't, and you've been in this relationship for about 6 months and maybe a year, and you're trying to figure out, how the hell did I get here? Like, this is not what my life was before, and this is what it is now. So start to look back and see some of those things. Have you been around your family? Does this person put you down? Do they not want you to be around your family? Are you having self-esteem issues? That could be signs that you're in a controlling relationship. Um, this has happened before. I remember one relationship that I was in, and they looked at me and said, "How come you don't smile anymore the way you used to when I first met you?" And I'm thinking to myself, well, I have no idea. But then I had to look and realize that, yeah, now I'm depressed. Shit ain't going the way that it was going before. And, finances ain't the way that it was before. Yeah, depressed, anxiety, all types of stuff happening. So if you find out that you are in the dumps and you can't get yourself up, start looking around at your relationship, and you might be in a controlling relationship. Do any of those things ring a bell? You still rocking with me, Birdman?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Oh, I thought you wanted the audience to say something. I was going to say something. I was going to add something to that too.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
Also, you notice how a lot of these women talk about, oh, he's so cute. He's so cute. Or a guy said, oh, she's so fine. She's so fine. Mm-hmm. I always remember this. I always heard this. Beauty is only skin deep.
Absolutely.
And the Temptations has a song that talks about that. And I've seen so many. I'm like, how did this guy get this beautiful woman, but then he treats her like, or, vice versa, and a lot of it is because they looking at the beauty on the outside. Absolutely. And think that person is such a great person, and that person can be the devil himself.
They say that the good ones, that the good looking ones, they be the ones that be the devil. Like, that's it right there. Because when as a man, we look at men, we can be shallow. We look at the outer appearance. We look at,
right.
That's what happens. So you have to be very careful, because that's a trick from the enemy to get you caught up, because now we're going to show the person that look, like everything. And you got to be very careful with that. You speaking
exactly, and self-esteem is one of the number one things too. If you have low self-esteem about yourself, then hey, you'll let anything go. And a lot of times that gets so many people. That gets people in so many trouble in so many ways.
We gonna end it here, and then we're gonna get into this book.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna try to bring it home the right way. We've all been through.
Yes.
We've all been through certain things in life. Your story is just amazing. Like what you told me tonight. I'm like, what? Like, I knew you was gonna come with something. That's a prime example of someone controlling you. That's ridiculous. You coming home, you trying to enjoy your situation, and this person is like, oh no, you're not gonna sit down. You're not gonna enjoy. You just got off of work. You're not going to, relax. Oh, we getting ready to throw down in here. We're going to move some furniture here. That's another person just being so super controlling, telling you what's happening. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was crazy. And I'm glad that you're not in that situation today. Of course, if you were, we wouldn't be having wonderful books like this. And your mom telling you that, the reason why you're not elevated to a certain level is because of the person that you chose, the person that you picked. That is just that was so mind-blowing right there. Most of the time, it's the family members that mean a lot to you, like a mother or a father. Typically, they always know what's going on. So I know sometimes we can be hard-headed. My mother always used to tell me that a hard head makes a soft you-know-what. So,
yeah.
This here. The person that I am today after all of the stuff that I've been through. And I want you all to think about it for yourself too. This is not just about me. This is about me sharing my experiences to be able to help somebody else break through and get to the next level. The person that I was in the past, I did not know who I was because I forgot who I was. I forgot who I was because I didn't take some time to know who Laren was and what Laren liked, what I wanted to eat, what I wanted to wear, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do, the music that I wanted to listen to, things that make me happy, things that make me sad, things that I care about. I didn't care about any of that type of stuff because once that alarm clock hit and those feet hit that ground, and I jumped in that shower and I got myself together, I immediately was focused on other people, places, and things. I never put me as the center of attention. And a lot of people might say self-centered. You so self-consumed. You think that it's all about you. That's a trick and that's a scheme. And anybody today that comes up to me saying, "Oh, you're so self-centered and you're so self-consumed and you're so about yourself," the only thing that I have to say to them is thank you. Next, like Ariana Grande, you have nothing to say to me today. I'm not going to let you trick me. I'm not going to let you scheme me. I'm not going to let you thinking that loving on yourself and enjoying who you are as an individual is a wrong thing. That is a trick from the enemy, and I'm not signing up for that game today because I've done it for so many years. Oh, this person is conceited. This is that, next the other. There's a difference between it. Now, you can't be arrogant and you can't be prideful and you can't be too boastful. You have to know exactly who gave you what they gave you and where you're going. But it's all right, like my girl Mary says, and work that. It's all right to show yourself some love and let them get mad. They're going to hate anyway because the reason why they're going to hate is because they're not happy with themselves. People can't be happy for you if they're not happy with themselves. So take some time for yourself. So if I'm going to get into a situation today, and not to be arrogant, not to be rude, not to be anything, you have to be okay with being a part of my world today. Like, this is my world. This is my realm of relationships today. Now, if you want to come and be a part of my realm, you want to be a part of Laren's world today, absolutely, I'm going to treat you with the upright respect. And thank you so much for wanting to be a part of this journey and come with me. And I'm going to love you just as much as I love people. But what I am not going to do is I can't be a part of your world today because I got to be too focused on being a part of mine today because I spent so much time, so much being a part of everybody else's, being controlled and being manipulated by, money, cars, jewelry, corporations, sex, whatever it is. Like, we're not doing that today. So we're going to talk about breaking free, get people who are in situations that need help breaking free. We're going to have a little bit towards the end of this show. But now we're going to get into this book. But I'm telling you, think about your world. It's okay to think about your world. It's not a bad thing. Don't let anybody manipulate you and control you and strong arm you and make you feel that it's wrong because you decided to take some time for you. That's what you need to do. That is the biggest trick of the enemy, to make you forget about who you are and start worrying about everybody else and everything that's going on. Sometimes it just makes me just want to, like Eminem, that song where he was just like, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Ah, man. No. Thank you so much, SOS. Thank you for coming through. All right, so here we are. Control phase. Track. We was talking about track 12, control phase. We have Birdman. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. Now let's get into this book.
Oh, yeah.
Book, Outdoor Memories. What sparked this here?
I've always talked about. I try to talk about everything in life, and then there's been the past 12, 13 years. I changed the things I talked about, and I started writing. I try to write for peace, inspiration, and to relax. And so my youngest son, one day, he said to me, he said, "Dad, out of all the books you have, out of all the poems that you read," he said, "I've read some that you've written that you didn't know I read." He said, "You talk about the beach a lot," which I do because I love the beach water. So he
Yeah.
said, why don't you do a poem about the beach? I mean, by a book. And I'm like, man, nobody want to hear just about the beach. He said, you'd be surprised, Dad. He said, see, you been, and he came with that thing about, Dad, the people you hang out with now would enjoy it. And so when I was putting this book together, it was just everything that I had been doing outdoors. The pandemic opened up a whole lot because I would look at my videos that I shot before the pandemic and pictures. So I just started looking at the videos and writing about it. And everything was outdoors. So there was 3 titles. I can't remember the other 2. And so when it came up, I said, Outdoor Memories. The editor, she said, that is good. She said, because the poems that you're talking about is all about being outdoors and how beautiful nature is. And a lot of people don't understand how beautiful nature is until they go get into nature and they let their mind just, free their mind. And they think about it and they be like, nature is really beautiful and it's relaxing.
It's interesting that you say that because it is so true. Like when we were locked down in 2020 and we couldn't go anywhere, and I started to get out into nature, and I've realized that, damn, this is nice. I like this, and I just kept wanting to do it more and more and more and more. And I remember, I forgot what podcast I was listening to or something that says just shut everything off. Take the cell phone, turn it off, do whatever, get back into nature. Everybody was losing their mind at that time. And I absolutely did that. I shut off my cell phone and I would go for walks in nature. And I was basically remembered, oh yeah, you do like this. This is one thing that you do like. I was always outside as a kid. And so yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah, and like I said, I tell people I can't swim, but I love being by the beaches.
You ain't the only one. You is not the only one.
But it seems like the waves talk to me.
Okay.
And like when we go to California, now I'm even into Japanese gardens now.
Oh,
and, I've been writing about the Japanese garden of how I feel, and I hope that others can relate to it when they walk off in the garden. Matter of fact, there's a guy at the hotel bought my book, and he read one of my poems, and he said, you know what? He said, this is about, and I told him it was about Japanese garden. He said, man, this made me think about my own garden in my backyard. And I'm like, oh, okay then. But we go to the beaches, and I like I do. I shoot videos. I take pictures, and then once our power come back, I'll be sitting up just looking at videos, looking at pictures, and then if I don't have nothing already started, I will start a new one, a new poem to fit that video, and always now. I try to fit the poem in the video. So the poem speaks to the video, and the video speaks back to the poem.
Wow. I have to check out those videos. I know you were speaking about that earlier. Now I opened up your book, and this morning I was out at the beach, and it was healing for me. I had my little music playing. I didn't have much playing, but there's a specific song that I play when I'm, standing in the water. And I opened up to Healing by the Sea, and it was a healing moment this morning for me. So I think that this was mystical that I opened up and then happened to go to this page 28 of your book, Healing by the Sea. So can I read this?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, Healing by the Sea. Standing beside the sea when the tides are low, the waves are bright under my feet as they roll in, washing over me. While the sand dampens along the shorelines, a message in a bottle seems to be trying to reach my soul. That line right there, a message in a bottle seems to be trying to reach my soul. The rhythm whispers of soft secrets from the deep. I embrace the mysteries from the pulse of the earth and let peace land on my shoulders gently as it lifts me onto its wings. Now my heart feel free to open up to the sea to receive all the gifts it brings. Wow.
And I wrote that after I visit oh man, Carlsbad, the beach down in Carlsbad in California.
Oh, okay. They have
they
have a Carlsbad in New York too.
Yes, that's one of those. When I was down there, shot the video. Well, I shot several videos, put it like that, and then I put it together, and then I'm like, okay, healing by the sea, because that's what I feel like whenever you go and you see people sitting on the shoreline or sitting, whether they're on the sand or on a blanket. That's what's happening. A lot of people don't realize they're actually getting healed by the sea.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That's what I felt this morning. I was just like, yeah, this was much needed. Much needed. Definitely much needed. What else we got? What else?
I got this one here. Let me read this one. This one here, I actually wrote this when I've written several of them when we went to Vegas, and we've taken a tour through the Valley of Fire, and in Red Rock Canyon. So I read this one. It's titled "Out in the Desert."
What page?
Out into the desert.
What page is that on?
Page 37.
37. Okay, I'm moving to it right now. Okay, perfect.
Okay, go out into the desert to enjoy the sun and beautiful mountains scenery. This is a place to let your thoughts roam and your worries disappear. There are no people, loud noise, or pollution to disturb the quietness that the desert brings. The beautiful colors of nature can be seen everywhere. The dust and winds are calm. No wild animals or creatures can be seen during the middle of the heated day. The land is dry as the sun bears down, soaking up what little moisture that remains. The desert is a place where loneliness thrives. No one can interrupt your thinking. Being alone out in the desert can sometimes be very good therapy. Cactus, dry bush, sand, and dust can be seen for miles. There is no water or rain in sight, just the sun shining brightly over the mountains, standing tall and colorful. The blue sky is clear with few clouds in sight. The only voice you hear is your own. As the sun says goodbye to another beautiful hot day, you may hear a coyote howling in the distance, waiting for the moon to rise. It's giving a warning that he is coming out to patrol the dry, sandy land to search for food. The lovely, dry desert can be a place to find peace and solitude to release all your troubles.
Now, only thing I got to say about that is sign me up for that, because I love the heat, all of that stuff, cactuses, all that. That's where I belong. So sign me up for that all day, every day. And you know what?
Not when it gets 113 to 120 degrees. It's not.
Oh no, yeah. Sign me up for that, because there's a trick to that. What you do is you get up early in the morning and you get outside and you explore and you see all of the cactuses and all of the great stuff and you walk around. But then about maybe like 8, 9 o'clock, you have to get back in the house. That's cool, fine. Do whatever you got to do. Do your little work on the computer online, have your little workshops and all that great stuff. See, I got this all mapped out. And then about like around 6 o'clock, 7, 8, when the sun's getting ready to set, you can go outside and you can walk around and enjoy. And then about maybe like 9 o'clock, once it's dark outside, it's still about 85, 80 degrees. And you walk around with some basketball shorts on, tank top with some flip-flops, You can go by the pool. You can get out and don't have to worry about having a whole bunch of towels. And listen, I've done it all before. I've lived that life, and sign me up for that all day. Sign me up for it.
Yeah, well, like I said, when we did the tour leaves early in the morning. So that's what we did. We went out there, and I enjoyed it all the time. The time. I mean, we actually went on Howard Hughes' farm, the late Howard Hughes. He has a farm, and it's a little house you could tour and see all the pictures in there. And I've done videos, I've done poems on, for that, and it's pretty cool. The desert is not as bad. The desert is. I'll tell you what. I say the desert and the ocean waves are just alike. If you abuse it, it will take you.
Wow.
If you don't abuse it, you will enjoy it. You can enjoy it.
Here's the thing I like about the desert. Most people complain around this time of year. Like, I go to Palm Springs. That's one of my places that I love. Arizona as well. I love that. People run away during this time because it's so hot and they can't deal with it, and they complain about it. And I'm like, that's fine. Sign me up for that. That will be my time where I go on vacation in Palm Springs in Arizona. That means all of the people are gone. All of the riffraff are gone, right? And I can just be there enjoying everything by myself. And I have no problems with that at all. And if you can't stand the heat, get out the kitchen. That means then you don't come. You don't have to come. I love it. I enjoy it. So stay exactly where you at.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Sign me up for that. When it comes time for retirement, probably Arizona, Palm Springs area, California, something like that. I can see that happening.
Yeah. Like I said, it depends on how you can use it or you can abuse it. And using it smartly, like you said, you go out early in the morning. And then you come back in because the heat it's gonna come on. It's gonna come on strong. And then in eating times, sometimes like the eating time, there's no wind at all, so the heat is still.
What?
If you know what I mean, it's still.
Oh, it's so good though. It's so good. At night when it's no wind and the heat is still like that, sign me up for that.
Yeah. But the only thing is about the desert is at nighttime. That's when you have coyotes and the wild animals that do live there. That's when they come out hunting.
Oh, I'm very careful. Yeah, I when it get too dark like that, I'm like, yeah, nah. Let me. I live in Jersey, so we got bears and raccoons and skunks and weird stuff like that. So when it comes to wildlife and stuff, I let them have their peace, and that's why. Dark time, there's day and night. You shouldn't be fooling around so much with stuff in the nighttime. Let them have their time. Respect nature and stay away from all that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, we got one more. We're reading from.
Yes. This one here. I wrote this after being down on Coronado in San Diego at the beach. It's titled A Seaside Connection.
Seaside Connection, okay.
Sitting and watching the waves wash upon the shore while singing a song. Ripples can put you to sleep and mesmerize the soul. Relax as the seaweed floats by on top of the waves. Leave all your troubles on the sand and let the waves wash away your pain. The water is calm as the ripples seem friendly today. Sitting alone, enjoying the feel of the sun rays beaming down. Sometimes the seaside can be your best friend. Nothing can come between you and your thoughts while sunbathing on the shore. The sparkle on the waves brings beauty and joy to your eyes. Birds fly freely in the air. Look out at the calm clouds scatter skyline in the horizon. Enjoy the feel of the mist and the breeze as you close your eyes. The sea, waves, and blue skies reflect how relaxing time can be. Sitting and viewing the peaceful ripples as they continue on their journey. As you continue to listen to the waves splash and roll, you come to cherish this seaside connection.
That's awesome.
And I feel that way. I feel that way anytime I go to the beach. Ever since I wrote that, I feel that way. And even before I wrote those words, put them words together, I always felt that way.
You have a lot. This is a full body of work here. This is amazing. And this is a great book, like for me. Now I'm out here at the shore. This is great to just sit by. And you know what? I'm probably going to do this tomorrow. I'm probably going to sit here by the beach, listen to the waves, rustling, and go through this book. This is awesome. And for me, I'm at the shore this week. But anybody else, like, even if you're just like, at a park, I almost want to say on a hiking trail in a forest, you go ahead and, pitch down somewhere. This is great to just go through all of this stuff here. You have something for almost every piece of nature, I believe, here.
Yes, it should. Yeah. Awesome. And then the funny part about it is my next one coming out. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it, because there was poems I left out of this one, and it's like now I'm putting them in a different folder. And I don't know if you ever been to Muir Woods up in San Francisco.
I've never been there before, but I would love to go.
Oh, okay. Well, see, there's a poem I read not too long ago, and my editor, she said, "You didn't put that in your book?" I'm like, "No." And it's funny because I read it on the radio station, on a radio program with some other authors. The host, she said, "Wow." She said, "You know what?" I'm like, "What?" She said, her husband had passed away, and she said the day was his birthday, and she said that poem reminds me, because that's where they were, and she said that poem reminded me of being there in Muir Woods Forest with him. And I was like, wow. And that made me feel good, because I'm like, even if nobody else like it, I know one person. And that's how I say about anything that I write.
Absolutely.
I don't care if don't nobody else like it. And I've been criticized because, of course, I'm a black man. Mm-hmm. And why are you writing these type of poems? How come you're not? Because I don't, I got away from that. I grown up. I got away from the trashy, bashy, using profanity. And I don't write that. I try not to write any of that in my poem. Don't get me wrong. I tried in the past.
Right.
Just didn't sit well. It just whenever I throw in something like that, I feel I don't know, it's a feeling that I let myself down.
Absolutely.
And then I'm letting the audience down. And I know one time I wrote this poem, and I was at an open mic, and I read it, and I used one profanity word. The room got quiet. I mean, you could hear roaches running around. That's how quiet it got. And people looked at me, and I'm like, because they had never heard me use that in any of my poems.
Listen.
So that there, I said, I'm done with it.
I know where you're from, right? Because you said, most people will say you can hear a mouse squeak or whatever they say, but you said you could hear roaches. I know.
Yeah.
I know where you from when you use a term like that. You can hear roaches. Oh man, I love it. But I get it though. But I want to tell you that this book here, forget about all of that stuff, whatever anybody has to say. The fact that you put a book out, most of the time, people who have something to say are the ones who ain't doing nothing anyway. So
exactly.
Here we go. The people.
And you know what? It's funny you said that, because a friend of mine, he drives trucks, and whenever he comes through, he'll stop by and get a book, and we live right around the corner from each other. And he said one day, he said, man, I've been when you stand in the corner, drink them 40s, smoke weed, talk crazy. He said, but now, he said, man, I've been reading your books too. He said, man, he said, I didn't even know this was in you. And he said, I went home, and he said, he was telling people who he run into on the road. And he said, he mentioned my name. And he said, people said, oh, what is he doing? And he said, oh, man, he said, the dude writes poetry, man. He said, the dude is a great poet. And he said, this one person, he said, I'm not going to even tell you who it is. And I'm like, that's cool. He said, yeah, and I bet you that N think he's something now. He said, no, he's still quiet. He's still quiet, man. He said, the dude has, they said he's quiet, and he spends his time writing now instead of being out in these streets drinking.
But it's all good, because if you're doing something, first of all, if you're not doing anything, ain't nobody talking about you. So the fact that, you're doing something, somebody's speaking about you, it is what it is. Like, and unfortunately, you're going to get the good, you're going to get the bad. But, you have to take it, and you have to be able to be okay with it. Like, you're going to get the good, you're going to get the bad. And when you get the bad, don't let it affect you, because, listen, they're talking about you, right? So they're putting that time, they're putting that energy, they're putting their focus, they're using their resources to open up their mouth and speak whatever they want to speak about you, good, bad, whatever. You're doing something. Somebody talking about you.
NWA said all any word put out, whether it's good or bad, they're putting it out there, and somebody gonna hear it.
Exactly.
Somebody gonna hear it. So evidently, you're touching somebody's nerves.
Absolutely. I'm just like, you've been on the show before. You've read your poems. I am just like thrown back by how well it's put together, how, it's very professional and on point. So congratulations on that. And don't let anybody tell you anything.
Yeah.
Like, I love the dedications that you put in the beginning. This is amazing. And I'm going to read this here. Dedication, Mr. and Mrs. Hubert Johnson. This is my 13th book collection of poems that will be published in a series of short poetry. I want to thank God first, and most importantly, for blessing me with the talent to write and publish poetry that will relax and soothe the soul with uplifting, inspiring, and joyful poems. I also want to dedicate this poetry book to my parents, who are now deceased, Mr. and Mrs. Hubert Johnson, and last but not least, my pet Chihuahua Skipper. So I love that, how you gave them, their shout out in the beginning of the book. That's amazing, because you don't forget where you come from. If you forget where you come from, you don't know where you're going.
I don't know if I told you, but my dad was a musician at one time. And really, I wanted to write music, and nothing was working. And my dad, he said to me, and I told you what my mom said, my dad said the same thing. He said, you're just in the wrong space. And then he said, no, I'm going to put it like this, you're with the wrong person. And I had a lot of connections in music. And for whatever reason, it was like, people look at, this looks good, these words look good, but no one would ever offer me a contract to write. And that's why I said, and then one day I just said, I'm just going to keep writing poetry. I don't care. And my book got turned down 3 times. And it was some other people who seen my book. They said, no, man, keep on. The 4th time I sent it in, I got to start getting published. And from that point on, I just needed that one foot in the door. And once I did that, it just seemed like it steady got the flow. I mean, I got people like at open mics that, you can't make no living being a poet. I said, I never said I was making a living. I just enjoy writing it because it frees me, it relaxes me.
Absolutely.
But can I tell people where they can get my book at, or they can go to my YouTube?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I got this bookmark that you gave me here too. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's at Amazon.com/author/Birdman313. That's where I have nine poetry books available there, because the other 4 are out of print. And you can also go to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/A author capital P Poet, capital P Birdman, 31355. It's all one word. Author, Poet, Birdman, 31355.
Absolutely.
And you would like some of the poems that's in that book, you will see videos. Matter of fact, majority of the videos that you will see are in all my different books. I try to do at least 5 to 10 videos, take poems and put in video. And sometimes, like I said, some of the videos I haven't even that I have posted are not even in book form in books yet. So I'm planning on putting them there.
Congratulations. Keep doing it. I'm going to check out all of that stuff on YouTube and follow you. And that's going to be one of my missions. I got all these social media platforms, but I will make sure that I follow you on YouTube. Now, the name, I was sitting here thinking, the name, I call you Birdman. Birdman or Birdman 313? Which one is it?
You can just call me Birdman.
I got you. All right, I got you.
Like if I go to a new place, and I tell people this, because I've had people say, "Oh, you're the rapper." No.
Oh, I got you.
Birdman 313. Yeah, and I've had people who always say Birdman, because a lot of places I go to, people know me, and they just say Birdman, and they be like, "The rapper." No. I'm the author and poet, Birdman 313.
Well,
and even some of the hosts, they'll just say, "Here come Birdman," But a lot of them, they say, let me say it properly. And they say, "I know the reason why you call yourself Birdman 313, and 313 actually is my birthday." So I chose that.
I'm going to remember that now. I'm going to remember that. Now, I got it. I got you. Locked in now. I remember. Got you.
Yes. So, but if you just say Birdman, hey, that's cool. I'm cool with it.
I got you. I'm so during the time when I was almost thinking man, Twitter ain't really whatever. Twitter is whatever. It was at a time where I was almost thinking about exiting doing anything on Twitter. And then I met you on Twitter, and I'm like, damn, maybe you should not think like that, because look at this person that you met and you had a connection. And then after that, things seem to be blowing up on Twitter. So I'm glad that I never gave up on that. And I'm glad that I met you. And because this has been, like I said, we were on the phone talking. We had to chill out because it's showtime. You know what I'm saying? So definitely family and just a genuine love and just the conversations that we have, man. I just love speaking with you. And definitely,
I appreciate that. I feel the same way.
Definitely a ride or die. Definitely a true listen. When I come to Texas, I'm making my way there. But of course, I can't let you get out without doing these burning questions. Yeah. So for those of you out there listening, people out here watching the replay, when you come around to it, this is the official 411 podcast, Reading Between the Wines hotline. It's 609-200-1098. Again, that number is 609-200-1098. Now, if you have your burning questions, you can text me them. You can DM me. You can also chime in and let me know what you feel about tonight's burning question. But now it's time for burning questions, where I go ahead and flip it and put my guests in a hot seat. We already talked about this stuff today, but we're going to just circle back around and wrap it up and, take it on out of here. So, burning questions for tonight. Have you ever felt trapped in a controlling relationship? What steps did you take to regain your freedom and assert your independence? Now, I'm going to read it one more time for everybody. And this is good information as we go ahead and exit out of the show, because we spoke about being in controlling relationships, and some of this could be valuable information that anybody could use this going forward. So, have you ever felt trapped in a controlling relationship? What steps did you take to regain your freedom and assert your independence?
Oh boy, I thought about that deeply, and I'm like, it will always be my first marriage, because she was my girlfriend in high school. And we had a child while I was just getting out of high school. And the thing that trapped me the most was because we had a child at a young age. She was my first girlfriend. And the fact that I was adopted and I didn't ever want another man to raise my child, because that's what I felt, at that time. And I felt trapped. And like I said, man, all the things that she did, I just turned a blind eye. And then at the very end, a lot of things started coming to surface. She started telling me everything that people told me. She started admitting to it. But during them times, she didn't. And then, like I said, the last straw came was when, that incident we had and the police had to come out. And then she told me one time that stuff you writing, I'm going to use the word stuff you writing, would never sell.
Wow.
And when she said that, that really hurt me, because she knew the things I went through growing up, trying to be successful. And that was it. That's when I said, I'm done. I am done. But guess what? She went and bought 2 of my books.
Listen here. Right before a breakup, right? They will probably say the most hurtful, disrespectful thing that they probably can say, and that is probably like a blessing. And I know people be like, well, why? They know you because they've been with you, they've lived with you, that you shared your secrets. It's all that pillow talk, and it's all of that. They will say the most disrespectful stuff towards the end, and that sort of is like a trigger to let people know that it's over. Like, when somebody says something so hurtful, you feel that you probably can't come back from it, that's probably true, and that's the answer, to just leave.
Yes. And when I tell people that, they be like, for real? I'm like, yeah, man. I said, I had a newspaper come out to the house. She said, ain't he gonna get paid? He said, no, we don't pay. And she grabbed the kids and, I don't want to be part of this. And she left out. And the dude looked at me. He said, dude, if you ever going to be successful, yeah, I know. And that all was coming out at the very end of our relationship. It was. All of that was coming out.
Yeah.
And then when she bought 2 of my books, I looked at her. I said, you remember what you said? And she looked at me. And she said, I'm just doing this because I know your books is not selling. I'm okay. Give me your money. I took her money. I took her money. I'm like, yeah, okay. I took her money, I took it. I'm like, okay. I said, so therefore I said, hey, now I sold 2 books to you. I said, thank you. And hey, and that was it.
Right. Wow. Thank you so much for coming on here. I appreciate this. Listen, this your conversation, number one, first of all, is top tier. This has been a great experience. Thank you for coming through and blessing us tonight. This new book that you got, Outdoor Memories. What a perfect. I mean, I couldn't even. You were the first person booked for Reading Between the Wines.
Okay.
And of course, the theme and everything, it just makes sense for what's going on right now. This was meant to be. I appreciate you for coming on here. Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
The topic that
thank you for having me, man. And like I said, anytime you need somebody to talk, hey, you got my info, man.
Absolutely. And I want to say the topics that you talked about tonight. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for coming through. And yeah, we definitely listen. When I'm in Texas, when I come to Texas, I'm definitely looking you up.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'll be available.
All right. Take care now. Have a good night.
All
Stay
right.
safe.
You do the same.
All right. Good night.
Okay. Good night.
All right, y'all. There you go. Birdman. Y'all go ahead and check out my friend, my brother, friend of the show. Outdoor Memories, the new book. Please go ahead and support. This is a dope book. It's put together so well. So well. I wish that I could do something like this. That's what I'm saying. Like, put together so well. Awesome. Sampled Snoop Dogg, Cali Blanc. Love it. It's a great wine. Great summer drink. Definitely nailed it with this one here. Like I said, this is number two. The first one would be the sparkling Cali Gold, Cali Blanc. Awesome. So I'm a fan of Snoop Dogg. I love his wines. Thank you so much to people who are joining SOS. People out there on Facebook, I appreciate you. Thank you for joining in. Now, we're going to sum it up and get on out of here with everything that we've been speaking about being in control in relationships. I'm going to leave y'all with this here. I know people might be going through some things, might have been in a controlling relationship, may not been in a controlling relationship. You might have been a controlling person. You might have been controlled regardless of what the situation may be. Nobody's ever perfect. What goes up must come down. I believe that if you treat somebody one way in this relationship and you were in the wrong, when you get in the next relationship, you're going to be the one that's being done wrong. It's karma. It's a universal law. Like, you reap what you sow. Some people might go into a relationship thinking that they got the upper hand in this one, and they might screw somebody over and might not be right. And then they might say, okay, we're going to take a fresh start and we're going to get into a new relationship. And they put all their trust, they put all their energy, and they put all their time into this new relationship. And then you start to wear the shoes of the person that you screwed over in the last relationship. So I don't know if anybody has ever experienced that, but it's this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If you think that you was doing something wrong, running, scheming, running 4 and 5 people in this relationship, and then you fall in love with somebody and you think that that person is your everything, and then you find out that they running 4 and 5 people, it's called karma. You reap what you sow. So you got to be very careful with that. So even when in these controlling relationships, you got to be very careful whether you were the controlling person or you felt control. Sometimes it's just karma. What you did in the past is going to show up in the future. So be very careful. That's why they say karma, what goes around comes around. However, whatever the situation may be, if you are in a controlling relationship and you want to get out of it, here's some sort of simple things that I can give you as far as some things that I've been through. Surround yourself by family and friends. Get yourself a good support system. Maybe you might need to seek some professional counseling. Get somebody who is qualified and certified to be able to help you and guide you in whatever direction you might want to go in. Prayer. Prayer changes things. Take some time and get with self. Reset your boundaries. Establish some boundaries and say, okay, listen, this is what I wanted in the future, but maybe I might have been a little bit, soft. Maybe I might have been a little bit like silly putty. Maybe I let somebody mold me like Play-Doh and shape me up to what they wanted me to be. So today is the day that I'm going to draw a line in the sand. Today's the day that I'm going to write in my journal. Today's the day that I'm just going to make a promise to myself. I deserve to do this to myself, to say that, guess what? Today is the last day that I'm going to put up with this. I'm going to restart to reset some boundaries. And you can't come past this line here. And if you do, there's going to be some actions and there's going to be some consequences. So start to reset your boundaries. Rebuild your confidence. Spend time with yourself. It's okay to show yourself some love. I talked about that like Mary. Listen to that Work That song off of the Growing Pains album. It's okay to show yourself some love. Let them get mad. They're going to hate anyway. Don't you get that? They'll never be happy because they're not happy with themselves. So don't let people project and put stuff off on you. That right there is enough right there. Come up with a plan to get out. You may not be able to move mountains today, but keep thinking. Keep figuring out what you want to do to have an exit strategy to regain your independence. Rely on yourself. Have your own foundation. That's one of the biggest things that my mentors taught me. Have your own foundation. You cannot be responsible for somebody else's happiness and vice versa. And that is just so profound. You can't be responsible for somebody else's feelings and emotions except for yourself. So don't put yourself in a situation where you have to feel that you are responsible for somebody else's happiness. If you're in a situation where you feel that you're responsible for somebody else's happiness, absolutely not. That's not going to work. And that's just me speaking from experience, and I can't tell you what to do. But if you ever feel that you're responsible to try to make somebody happy, or you're responsible to try to help somebody else with their emotions and their feelings, the person that I am today, absolutely not. I cannot be responsible for anybody else's feelings and actions and all that stuff. The only person I can be responsible for is me. I need to have some self control, and I need to make sure that I'm in control. So I can't be caught up and wrapped up and trapped up with worrying about somebody else. Can't do it. Won't do it. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming through. Thank you so much, Birdman. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Listen, get this Cali Gold. Excuse me, Cali. That's that. Cali Blanc. Remember this too. This is the Cali Blanc. Get that Cali Blanc. And also, Birdman, Outdoor Memories. Check that out. Stay connected on all of my social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, TikTok, DLive, Twitch, Daily Motion at Laren Gaines. Tomorrow we have author. Wow, we really this Cali Blanc really has done it. Not author, artist, recording artist. Donnie Nicole is coming in tomorrow. I can't wait to speak to her. She has a new single, Love Affair. Can't wait to find out exactly what's going on there. We're talking about friends with benefits. So if you've ever been in that type of situation, you definitely want to come back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the 4-1 podcast. Author, I did it again. I don't know why I just want to call her an author. Artist, Donnie Nicole, right here, 4-1 podcast, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Thank you so much. Check me out, LarenGaines.com. I'll see y'all tomorrow.